How about you? How about you? How about you? Let me get that sun out your eyes with the thing. There we go. It's coming up. How about you? VA3EWV. Back at it again one time for the good time, folks. Dude, come on now. We're about to get out here on these radios and do some talking and squawking. Do some talking and squawking. Radio people say stuff twice, by the way. If you look at other, I was looking at a guy today who was actually in the advanced class with me. That class is over. Got to get my test booked. Going to get that booked for 2 weeks from now. But when you say stuff on radio, they tend to repeat themselves twice. So I just thought that was hilarious because I never knew it. Other than that, we're going to be doing our same thing. Simplex first, repeater work second, then jump around on some repeaters to try to get some people out there and see what we can see and do what we can do. All right, the Drive at 5 on the air with VA3EWV. All right, we got old Chelsea in there. I need to find out what the frequency of that is so I can tell you guys. So if you're local, you can do it. And then I'm on national calling frequency. So let's hit up national calling frequency first. 146.520. You can actually see that in the rearview mirror of my car when the sun's not shining through it. So here we go. Hope my radio's working okay too. I was having a little bit of problems this morning. Victor Alpha 3 Echo Whiskey Victor VA3EWV mobile. So you say listening and standing by and all that stuff, but I hear some people just
VA3EWV Victor Echo 3 Oscar Tango Whiskey.
VE3OTW. How's it going today, Jonathan?
Not too bad, Ernest, not too bad. It's a lovely day out there. I think it's about a dozen degrees out there, so very, very nice out there. Hopefully you took advantage today. It was a very lovely day outside, and yeah, things are good here. How about yourself? How are things on your end?
Good, had a good weekend, you know. Decided not to take the tractor out when I saw the snow. It was a good amount of snow there in St. Andrews West. I know we at least had 3 inches, if not more. And I was like, nope, the sun's gonna take care of it. So, the sun did take care of it. By that afternoon, everything on my driveway was actually gone. So, see, I saved some diesel.
Oh, yeah, well, as I'm sure you can see in Ottawa, there really isn't that much. It really didn't stick around. But now your friends in Toronto, and they shoveled the driveway twice, 2 or 3 times. They really got hit hard this weekend, so they're cleaning up from that. But Ottawa got spared, so I'm pretty fortunate in this end. But yeah, other places got hit pretty hard, but here was pretty good, not so bad. You know, there's no snow around and a nice sunny day out, so no complaints here.
QSL on that. What were you up to this weekend?
This weekend, not too much for this weekend. Didn't even get to play radio. Maybe a little here or there, but not too much. I was busy with other things. But hopefully this week is looking nice. I'll probably make my way out to do some radio, you know. I haven't done 60 meters in a while. I know 60 meters is a bit out of season, but it's been quite seasonable out. And usually 40 meters is good, 60 meters is pretty good as well too. So I like to take advantage. So, and I'm only running 5 watts. So it's all good. It's all good, Ernest. So hopefully this week I'll have the opportunity to do some HF. How about yourself? Any big plans for the week?
No, just trying to survive. Not that I'm having anything bad. I have a pretty happy life, actually. But no, I have no plans for the week. Got my fox hunting antenna, my YAG antenna, 99% complete. It's a kit. And sometimes with kits, you run into some issues, you know, whether it be yourself or the kit or whatever. Kind of like putting IKEA furniture together. And you found out after you got the cabinet together, all the shiny parts that are supposed to face you are actually facing the wall and the rough parts facing you. So you have to pull it all apart. Have you ever been in one of those situations, over?
Yeah. Well, it's sometimes it's easier to just redo it yourself because if you have parts here and there, you know, I know they have those kits. But a lot of times you just have leftover stuff in the garage that you can kind of work through and kind of make it work. But I'm glad that you're able to make it work on your end. I know you're working on the, as you said, the fox hunting preparations for the upcoming year, so that's good. And I know you're really into that. I think they're going to do something like that here. I don't know when, but I know they're planning some sort of fox hunting activity. So, yeah, that's good. You're prepared on your end, and you can look for those foxes when they pop up. So, that's good. That's good. I've never done it myself, to be honest, but you sound like an expert in the field, so you have all the extra equipment ready and good to go, which is good. That's good, and I'm glad to hear that the kit is working out, albeit with some issues.
Yeah, I'm definitely not an expert at it. I started last year. Only twice I wasn't able to find the fox. And then because I told them, I said nobody was listening to me. I'm like, I think there's something wrong with the beacon. Because you can hear it, then you can't hear it, and all this stuff. And since I was a new person, they kind of like heard me but didn't hear me, you know. And then when it all came down to it, there was actually a problem with the beacon. And I'm like, see, told you. But before that problem with the beacon, I still was able to find the fox, not the first one. The people who found the fox in Cornwall, born and raised in Cornwall, you can only put the fox on a public spot. So, you know, living there, you kind of know that, and then you have to use your maps and you're this and you're that. But when you live in a place, you know, I think if we came to some place like Ottawa to do it, it would be a fair, you know, like more fair. I think that's how you say that, because everybody would have the same handicap, right? Not really knowing, and Ottawa's a big place too.
QSL. Well, I don't know where they do it here. I think they do it in the Rockeries. I'm not exactly sure where they do it. But yeah, it's people have fun with it, and people, they really get into it, and I know they have different locations for it. So yeah, I guess it could be challenging depending on where you are and how you're doing it. So yeah, that's great. That's great that you had the opportunity there to beef up your fox hunting. You know, some professions, they use that, you know, for telephone companies and so forth, looking for faulty wires. So there's a practical use for it. So it's good that you're good on it. You might not be an expert, but you know more than me. So there you go, whatever that's worth. You have more fox hunting experience than me. So yeah, that's great. That's great. Hopefully this year will be fruitful. And hopefully you find many foxes. When are you planning to attend the next fox hunt? Is that scheduled yet with your club?
Well, see, I was just about to speak on that. I was trying to get the fox to practice with it, but there was some updates. It's ready to go. The fox mechanically is ready to go. So I asked, hey, can I borrow the fox there? And they have some labeling and stuff to do, and so no ETA on when that's going to get done. So I got home, and the wife said, oh, did you get the fox? I'm like, no, there's some updates that have to be done with labeling and stuff because it's outdated. Because, you know, these things are put in public spaces, right? And it has signage on that says, if you find me, please bring me home, right? So that has to be updated. I got it. But I'm not putting it in public. I was going to put it on my own property in practice. So my wife says, oh, hey, check your email. This is about an hour or so later. I'm like, okay. She says, I bought you your own beacon. I hear you talk about it so much. I went and got this one. I got you a fancy one that you can even use those tones and turn it on and off remotely and this and that. She goes, guess what? You don't like hide and go seek and the kids love it, like my grandkids. Now, you can have them hide the fox, right? And you have to go find it. And then you can hide the fox, excuse me, and they can go find it. And I'm like, get out of here. So I'm going to have one in my own possession that I don't have to wait for our time or date. I can just go put the thing on my own property and work on finding it on my own property and getting all my instrumentation, all tuned in. And then, excuse me, I'll be a force to be reckoned with there.
Okay, very good, Ernest. Well, if you're all prepped and you're good to go. So yeah, that's fantastic to hear, and that you're all set for the fox hunting endeavor, and you're prepping on your end, and you're all getting set. And yeah, as I said, I know people who are really super into it. So that's good. Again, haven't done anything at all myself. I think the closest thing would be, working HD, VHF, UHF. Maybe I'll dabble into some digital modes eventually if I get around to it. But other than that, that's the closest I've come to a fox hunt. Well, I guess, excuse me 1 second. VE3WV, VE3OTW returning. Yeah, so I'm assuming, I guess you use a Yagi and you kind of point it towards the fox, and that's what sets it off, I guess. You'd have to indulge me. I don't know too much, just the basics.
Well, before we go on into that, I'll just, my wife was telling me, you have to see if anybody else wants to talk. And I'm like, why don't you get your license? And she goes, no. I'm like, well, quit correcting me. So I guess if anybody else wants to pop in, I guess you can go ahead before Jonathan and I continue on. Well, nothing heard. There you go. VE3OTW, VA3EW returning. Hey, before I get into the fox and all that stuff, all things fox, the way I got my grandkids into it, have you ever heard of that phenomenon from about 4 or 5 years ago, pre-COVID? It's kind of funny how we say pre-COVID, eh? But it was called Pokemon Go. Did you ever hear of Pokemon Go?
Yes, I have heard of Pokemon Go. I think that's the game where all of the Pokemon were at the White House, and people were trying to break into the White House because there were special Pokemon that were at the White House, something along those lines. But yes, I'm familiar with the game.
Yeah, so my kids still have it on their little phones, and my kids, I do, and I still, it's a time waster. So with that, you have to use your cell phone data. You have to pay for stuff, and people still do it. So there are 3 teams. You go out there, you gotta catch them all, right? So it was a good way, like when it really hit, except for the stuff where people were invading private property to get Pokemon. A lot of people I lost almost 20-something pounds, over 20 pounds, riding my bike and walking around all of Ottawa, catching Pokemon. My kids and I were like 5 of us driving bikes around and going to the different places and doing it, and there was a lot of exercise. We put 3 or 4 hours in exercising, you wouldn't even know anything about it. So the way I got them on the fox hunting, I said, okay, same thing, you use the radio though, and you have the beacon, and what I'm going to do, like Easter's coming up this weekend, so I told my kids and my grandkids, hey look, we're going to do this 4 different times. There's going to be $20 in the egg at the end of it, so, and you find it, you get $20. If you find all 4, you get $80. So they're all in on the fox hunting adventure, because it's going to be $20 at the end of the fox.
Oh, I see. Okay, well, I guess a bribe here or there will be the incentive for some people. But yeah, okay. Well, I guess that could work as well too. I've never played the Pokemon Go. I'm not really into the gaming and that sort of thing. I spend my time on radio. Not so much on the. I don't really do the games and that sort of. But I knew people who were really into it, and they missed meetings, and they probably should have spent their time on other things, but they're really into that Pokemon Go. First story in the news, you know, people trying to break into the White House and people getting run over because they didn't look when they crossed the street because they were too busy with the Pokemon. So, yeah, I remember that game was quite dangerous, actually. But, yeah, it's, I guess different strokes for different folks, but yeah, I guess, yeah, if you get the grandkids outside, you know, I guess it's not too bad. And if you can get them out for a fox hunt, you know, that's just as good as well, too. So, yeah, that's great that they're able to get out there. Fantastic to hear. Victor Alpha 3 Echo Whiskey Victor Mobile, Victor Echo 3 Oscar Tango Whiskey.
Yeah, and since I have 2 acres of land, I don't have to worry about them running into cars and stuff like that or going to somebody else's property. 2 acres is enough ground to cover to go look for stuff. So we're going to probably be doing that this weekend for Easter weekend. I actually thought I had to work Friday and Monday because I wasn't told any differently. And today I found out that something had went out asking for volunteers. I wasn't there when they sent it out, but it got scooped up. So looks like I'm off Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, and they're open.
Okay, very good. I'm sure it's a well-deserved long weekend, so that's great. That's great that you get the extra time off, so that's fantastic. Yeah, you get to spend more time with the grandkids and more time preparing for the fox hunt, so that's great. That's great. And, hopefully in the long run that will pay off dividends. You'll find foxes and go for it. So yeah, that's great. Well, and with the grandkids, it's always a good power team. And it sounds like it's going to be a fun event.
So before I lose you, because it's I'm not at my usual place where I start to lose you. I'm actually not as far away. I'm just down past the Amazon spot, and I usually don't start to lose you until past Calypso there. I don't know if you can still hear me in there, but do you have any plans for the Easter weekend?
I can still hear you, and I can still hear you. You're probably coming in about, you know, it's very obvious you're in a mobile. You're bouncing around between S5 and S7, so you're putting out a lot of power. Solid signal, but it's not. Sometimes, no, I don't really. Sometimes I'll have to see if or any events this weekend. Special events. I'm actually to work Lesotho, 7P8 Echo India. I managed to work them on QRP. So I think they're out there until March 30th. So I think they might be able to the game. So that'll be at least I've worked them twice. See if I can get them again on the log. I'll have to see what other DX stations are there. But other than that, nothing really big in regards to plans. Just as per usual, see what's on the radio and see how much DX I can work with what.
Yeah, my daughters, they thought they're like, hey, when you get off work on Thursday, could you just bring up the grandbabies because we're going to be all over for Sunday dinner for Easter. I'm like, there's no way I'm keeping those. They're good kids too, by the way. They're like very low maintenance. So I'm like, no, we're not going to have them Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday night. And the kids don't like to leave. My kids, they love us to death. And when they come over, you think they're going to just like not go home, right? So I start telling them, it's getting dark outside. You better get ready to go home. You shouldn't be driving when it's dark out there. You might hit something, you know. But they don't. It's like, well, I know they love it over at the house, but I'm like, come on, you got a house to go to. So I told them they can't come over till Friday night. That'd be going by 1 o'clock Sunday. Because I want to get that end fed up this weekend, Jonathan, and crack the box on that HF rig that was given to me without the microphone there, and start seeing what I can hear on that, eh?
Okay, very good. I didn't know that you didn't use it yet. Okay, well, yeah, I would say that would be the priority for the weekend for sure. Yeah, I wasn't aware that you didn't have it set up yet. I know you built everything and you had the radio. I assumed you at least had to listen, but yeah, well, the conditions are quite good, so I would definitely encourage to listen in, especially the upper bands. 10 meters, 12 meters. There's a lot of activity on there that you'll be able to hear from all over the world. So yeah, definitely have a chance to check that out and see who's available. Yeah, okay. Well, there's your plan for the weekend. I thought that was over and done with, but yeah, no, that sounds like a good plan for the weekend for sure.
No, that was definitely not done. Remember, I was so intimidated, and I was waiting for the guy to come to the house there and hook everything up and put the power on and all that stuff, because when I spoke to him last weekend, he said he purchased the radio, but he never used it. He purchased it for a project, and the project never came through, so he has never used it. He's never even turned it on. So, and he has some pretty fancy radios. This was a Linko. I'll send you a couple pictures and stuff via email, but it's an Linko brand. He said it was the cutting edge technology at the time, with different bells and whistles. But it does. I don't think it has a manual. I'll have to probably YouTube and whatever just to figure it out. So no, I never opened the box. I've never put power to it. But this weekend, I mean, if the weather's like it is today, I'm gonna go ahead and take a chance there. Over.
VE3EWV mobile, VE3 OTW returning. Yeah, that sounds like a great idea. I didn't know that. Again, know that it wasn't open yet, but yeah, definitely try to listen in at least well and see who's out there. Even in the evening, we should be able to listen to 40 meters and maybe 60 meters or even 80 meters. There's a lot of nets on 80 meters. East Ontario, Northern New York, it gets pretty localized. So you might have some luck to listen in to one of those. But yeah, that's great. That's great. I definitely would luck this weekend. Hopefully you'll get to listen to a lot of stations that come in. And if that radio has 6 meters, I can't remember if you told me if you did, forgive my ignorance. But if it has 6 meters, you can definitely transmit on 6 meters. You have those privileges there. And from what I've heard, 6 meters is pretty good right now. So you'll be able to work some DX if that's applicable. But again, if it doesn't, it'll just be a listening exercise. But if it has 6 meters, you might be in luck.
QSL, but that's a negative on the 6 meters. It doesn't do 6 meters. I don't know exactly what it does, but here's the thing. Believe it or not, the reason I want to be in front of the radio, because there's a lot of questions on the basic exam, ask you what frequency, like what's the frequency range of this, what's the frequency range of that, and you had to submit it to memory. I could never do that. Because I just didn't understand how a 10 could be whatever and 80 is something else. So I know that when I sit down with the radio and finally turn it on, and then I'm like, okay, what band am I on? I'm on 80 meters, okay. What are these numbers in front of me? Now I have the sheet from RAC. I've downloaded that and it's on my desk, right? But I cannot submit that to memory to save my life. Well, I know if I'm in front of the radio and I'm spinning the dial and I can see what 80 meters is, what 60 meters is, what 10 meters is in front of me, I'll over time just know the frequency what I'm on. Just like, for example, I'll give you a good explanation. I now know the frequency limitations for 2 meters, 70 centimeter, 220, because I use them every day. Go ahead, VA3EWV, listening. Victor Alpha 3 Echo Whiskey Victor, VA3 EWV Mobile. So I may have lost Jonathan on the national calling frequency. We will check and see here. We'll just move over because I have a Cornwall commute. I'm about to come into Calypso, so I'm going to start seeing if I can get in some of these local repeaters here. Like Moose Creek, for example. I'll try Moose Creek now. This is Victor Alpha 3 Echo Whiskey Victor, VA3 EWV Mobile. So this is Moose Creek, VE3 OJE. Victor Echo 3, Oscar Juliet Echo.
Hey Ernest, how's it going? Pretty sure.
VE3 RLG,